Hello, I'm Gary Stearman of Prophecy Watchers, and we have a very special guest with us today. Of course, you all know Jonathan Cahn. Jonathan has spoken in many, many cities throughout the country. He's published a number of books, and he has a new book, which we're going to be talking about today. It's called Harbinger 2. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. Great to be talking to you.
And I have taken a sneak peek pre-publication look at Harbinger 2, and I've got a lot of questions. We've got a lot to talk about today because current events and this manuscript that you've come up with are moving in a strange parallel fashion. And essentially what we've got here is a continuation of the mystery that was started, with the Harbinger, and before that Paradigm, and several of your books have dealt with prophetic mysteries. Well, the Harbinger 2 takes that to another step, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is, the big question is America heading for judgment? Since we last spoke about the Harbinger, what has happened? Where are we? Are the shakings that have happened, that have come upon America, are they a sign of coming judgment? And has the ancient mystery behind the Harbinger, has it continued? Have harbingers continued to manifest? Have the signs continued to manifest? So the Harbinger 2, I knew for years I was going to write it, but I couldn't write it until the right time. And so the Lord really told me the time is now. This was going to be a year of shaking, and this is the resuming of the mystery.
Now, I'm going to ask an obvious question. Harbinger 2 is a book that reveals a number of, if you will, mysteries or secrets. What exactly does Harbinger 2 reveal?
Well, it's going to reveal, first of all, when I wrote the Harbinger 1, we didn't call it 1, it was the Harbinger, there was so much that I could not put into that book because there was too much. So what's in the book is only a little bit. The Harbinger was a little bit of what was there. So I knew that there was going to be a time when I was going to reveal it. Things that began with 9/11, but that are affecting us to this day. That's number one. In the Harbinger 2, it's called the Unrevealed. And then the next part is the mystery hasn't stopped. The Harbingers have continued. We are following this course of national judgment, this ancient mystery. America is following it as Israel did. So more signs and harbingers and manifestations have appeared. And so that is the next part, is what has happened since then, where we are right now, up to where we are now. And the third part is now. What is happening now, and where is it heading? And is it part of this mystery? Is it part of this judgment drama that we're replaying? And the answer is yes. So you have three parts. So it's the past, the present, and the future.
Now, this book is carried along as you open it to the first page. You find a character named Nouriel, and this book is carried along by interactions with Nouriel. Who is he? What's his role? What's he doing there?
Yeah, let me explain for those who are new to all this, and that is the Harbinger and the Harbinger 2 is real. Everything that you're shown is reality. But I knew it was so kind of heavy and big that I was led to put it in the form of a narrative, like the Lord, Jesus used parables and God uses symbols and allegories. So it makes it much easier. It's revealed, or hopefully enjoyable, and it's revealed through a man called Nouriel and a man called the prophet. And the prophet is revealing these things to Nouriel, really revealing it to the reader, but is revealing it. So Nouriel is, people ask me, are you Nouriel, or who's this thing? I speak through both Nouriel and the prophet. That's always the case. So in the Harbinger 2, is the return. Actually, the Harbinger 2, the subtitle is Return, and you can take that many ways. But it's the return of Nouriel, return of the prophet, the return of the revelations, the return of everything. So yeah, I'm a bit of both. I mean, I speak through both.
Now, you have put things into Harbinger 2 that actually wouldn't fit into Harbinger 1, right? But
Yeah.
Here's my question, and as I leafed through the manuscript, I haven't had a chance to read it word for word, but I've got a pretty good idea of what it says and where it's going. And as you put this together, what was the driving force behind it? Do you believe that something is happening right now in our world that is of a mysterious nature, and how does that translate into the way you write?
Yeah, great question, Gary. Well, first of all, the first part was that when I wrote, I knew there would be a time that it would come that I would have to write the sequel. But I could never just do it. It's not something I could just say, okay, hey, let me write a Harbinger. You can't. So I was praying actually before the things happened this year. I was praying in September, Lord, what is the next book? Oh, it's this, and clearly it was this. And I said, oh, wow, Lord. So, and then at the same time, I had a very strong sense that 2020 was going to be a year of shakings. And I told the congregation, I told other people, I said it publicly, I spoke of it being shakings of dark events. And I believe that this year would be the resuming of the shakings that began in the Harbinger and to America and the world, but to America. So I knew, so this is before it happened. So I started writing the Harbinger 2 in January. I started preparing in 2019 and I started writing in January. So really before all these things happened, the shakings that have come that are they're part of the mystery. I knew it. I mean, I knew that I had to do it because I knew it was going to be a year of shaking. So that would lead to another point, is that what was written in the Harbinger, is it coming true?
Yeah. And I get this. I get the distinct sense that "quote unquote" coming true are very operant words, very active words. Things are moving fast, aren't they, Jonathan?
Yeah. Yes, Gary. Yeah. The first of all, if those who know the Harbinger, those who don't, the Harbinger is the revealing of a biblical template of national judgment. A nation that has known God, turned away, and now you have a very, very clear template in the Bible of how God warns a nation, calls a nation, and even judges a nation, or shakes a nation before that. Well, we have been following what the Harbinger reveals, is that pattern, that template has been coming true in America, starting with 9/11 in a very dramatic way. It's a very classic pattern of judgment. And then there is this period, a window of time that we have to come back. Well, we've been in that window. And the thing is that at the end of the Harbinger is a chapter called Things to Come. And in that chapter, it speaks of the shakings that will come if America does not turn back. And they are coming now. I know that before we get to the end of our time together, I'll get into the specifics of it, but it actually puts down the shakings. And then also it even gives the biblical template that pinpoints the timing, meaning this very year, 2020. It was one of the reasons, Gary, why for a long time I was watching this year beforehand and saying, this would point to a year of shakings. And so this is exactly what happened. It's there in the Harbinger, but now it's coming true. Yes, we are in the middle of shakings. I don't believe it's over. And I believe we are moving to a destined end there. So the Harbinger 2 is going to be what was not revealed, but it's affecting now, what is coming to this point. And yes, what is happening right now that was begun in the Harbinger.
Now let's talk about something specific. What's the mystery of the gate? Now, throughout this manuscript, there are a number of mysteries. What's the mystery of the gate?
Yeah, there are so many that we'll be able to just touch. I mean, you understand, it's always that way with, we'll be able to touch on just a few to give you, but you should get an idea of this, to those who are listening. Well, in the Bible, the template of judgment is this. God sent judgment to Israel, it began at the gate. It says the enemy will come besiege you at your gate. The gates will be burned. Your gates will come down. Because the enemy would come first to the gate. That's where you besiege, the city. Well, America doesn't have walls like there, but America does have a gate. And what is the gate of America? The gate of America, very clearly, is New York, is the gateway of America. That's the Statue of Liberty. That's where everything came in, everything went out. And to this day, the center of all this stuff. Well, where did 9/11 begin? It began at New York City. The classic sign, the enemy comes to the gate. So the enemy came to the gate. And in ancient times, when you came to the gate, at the gate, they would have to strengthen the gate. And so they built towers at the gate. And they built one tower on one side, one tower on the other. You had two towers, and the two towers were identical. They were twin towers. So literally, you had twin towers at the gate. That is exactly what got struck on 9/11. Now, this is the thing. This is just one of the things. The pattern, the message of the gate is what happens at the gate is not the end. It's the beginning of a new era. It's the beginning. Because the gate is the beginning, not the end. So that's telling you America entered a new phase, and we've been in this phase. It hasn't gotten better. It's actually now resuming. So that is the very beginning, but that judgment begins at the gate, and so it did.
Wow, the gate. In other words, and I'm thinking back to early Israel, 722 BC, and the Assyrian captivity and so forth.
Yes.
And the warning that God gave to Israel about the gate. Your gates will be knocked down. And again, that's not the last time that it happened. It happened later, right?
Yes. And when you read, there's a lot of scriptures about the gate. I mean, it goes all the way back to Moses. Moses is the first one to say, if you turn away from God, the enemy will appear at your gates, and that is just the beginning part. I mean, back then it would be the beginning part. It's extended over America over these years, but it began, and that's what 9/11 was. It was the gate.
Now, there's another mystery in Harbinger 2, and it has to do with the Pentagon, which, the Pentagon is kind of a mystery in and of itself. The way it looks, what goes on in there, very mysterious. But you've included this.
Yeah, there's several things about it, Gary, about the Pentagon. First of all, think about that. I wasn't going to share this, but because there's so many we can't share. But think about it. The enemy comes to the gate. He also comes to the wall. Now, America, you say, well, we don't have a wall. Yes, we do. It's the defense, our protection. Our walls are not physical. It's the Defense Department, which is symbolized by the Pentagon, which is actually made up of many walls like a fortress. And what happens? What's the sign of the beginning of judgment? The breaching of the wall. So it actually literally breached the wall of the wall. But let me go further. One of the principles of judgment on a nation is that God says, we'll break the wall down to the foundation. We'll break everything. I'll bring everything back to the foundation. It says that which I built up, I will break down. That which I planted, I will uproot. So the days of judgment are linked to it says, I will expose the foundation. So what's the foundation of American power? One of America's key powers is, of course, military. But when did that really begin? America was trying to stay out of the world for a long time. But when it came in, it could not irretrievably, could not go back irreversibly. Was with World War II, it entered into the war, never came out, became the world military superpower. And it was 1941 when that all began. 1941. 1941 was the year that the Pentagon was also built. That embodies America's military power. Well, God says, I will bring it back to the foundation. The Pentagon was begun on a particular day. When was the Pentagon begun? September 11th, 9/11. God brought it all the way back. It says, I will bring it all the way back to the foundation. On the day that your strength, your military superpower began, if you don't come back, I will remove that power from you. And so here is the warning. This is a biblical warning. Long before 9/11 was a day of calamity, it was the day of the foundation of America. And let me throw this in, Gary. I didn't plan it, but let me throw this in.
Yeah.
What is the other power? Chief power? Economic. America for a long time before it was a military, was rising economically. Where did that begin? New York City is the center of America's rise of economic power. When did that begin? It began when we learned in school Henry Hudson sailed up the Hudson River, just a little coincidence, sailed up the Hudson River and discovered Manhattan, planted Manhattan. What day was New York born? September 11th, 9/11. The foundation. I will bring it all back to the foundations. Everything on the day of the rising, I will uproot. This is a classic sign of biblical judgment.
And that is very intriguing in and of itself, I must say. Mystery After Mystery in Harbinger 2 by Jonathan Cahn. And we're very pleased to be able to talk with Jonathan today because he's always very busy, on the go, and from time to time we have these conversations about the mysteries that he writes about. And the last time we talked, Jonathan, we talked about how everybody loves a mystery. There's not a soul on earth who doesn't love to get into a mystery and peel things apart and find out what's on the inside. And I'm going to ask you another question. Speaking of mysteries, what's the mystery ship that you have written about?
Yeah, well, this one, on the day of 9/11, actually a ship appears in the waters of the Hudson. And the ship, when you look at it, it's not from the 20th century. It looks like it's from centuries before, has sails and masts. It's coming through the mist, and people are wondering what it is. Well, actually, what it was the Half Moon recreation of the ship that Henry Hudson sailed on 9/11 when New York City was discovered on the day of its rising. God says, I will expose the foundation. So here is literally, it's appearing in the waters, passing through the day of destruction. It's the image of the rooting on the day of the uprooting, the planting on the uprooting. So yeah, so even that appeared on 9/11.
This is interesting stuff. Again, everybody loves a mystery. Everybody loves a mystery that is close to them. And the Harbinger 2 talks about the things that are all around us right now. And thirdly, everybody loves a mystery that has, if you will, some hope. And there are a lot of mysteries in the Harbinger 2. What about the mystery of the eagle, Jonathan?
Yeah, Gary, there is a mystery regarding the scriptures that every week of the Hebrew year, there is a scripture that is appointed from ages past to be read on that at that time. So before 9/11 came, there was a scripture just a few days before that was read. And remember, this is New York City. New York City has more Jewish people than any other place in America. So that means all over New York City, there's a scripture being recited just before 9/11 comes. What was the scripture? The scripture was Moses warning Israel about what will happen to you if you turn away from God. So it's warning a nation of the judgments that will come that will start coming. It says if you follow God, God will make you the most blessed nation in the world. Well, that happened to America. But it says if you turn away, he'll start withdrawing. It'll be the beginning of the end. So it comes, and then comes 9/11. What does the scripture say? The scripture speaks about the enemy will come from far away, will come to your land. And actually it says in that appointed scripture, he will come to your gate. It also says that there'll become a rain of dust on you that like happened in 9/11. It says that the ground beneath you will be iron, and the sky above you will be copper. Well, in ground zero, listen, it was to Israel, but God can apply all things. It's amazing. At ground zero, the ground below was steel or iron, and above there was a cloud of copper. I mean, so it says you'll be groping in the middle of the day. That was 9/11 as well. But also, it says that the enemy will besiege you at your gate, and then your wall will come down. So you strikes New York, strikes the wall of the Pentagon. But then it says the enemy will come like an eagle. He will come like an eagle coming upon your land. Well, that's a biblical sign of judgment. In the destruction of ancient Israel, the enemy, the prophet said, the Assyrians came like an eagle. The Babylonians came like an eagle. The Romans certainly came as an eagle. Suddenly striking. Well, on 9/11, the enemy came as an eagle, came with wings, came from the sky. The Hebrew says literally he will swoop down like an eagle, which is every plane swept down. But not only that, could the sign of judgment, the sign of the eagle swooping down, could that have appeared on 9/11? The first plane that struck the building that began 9/11, on the back of the plane was actually an image. It was an image of an eagle, and it was an image of an eagle literally swooping down. So the very image from the appointed scripture of judgment was manifest. And the plane that struck the Pentagon on the back was an image of an eagle swooping down. The enemy will come, and he will come to your land. He will besiege you as an eagle swooping down.
Very interesting. As you listen to Jonathan, he thinks in a little different way than I think most of us do. He kind of looks beneath the surface, and I think the Lord has brought him visions of Scripture, of ancient Scripture, and of the holy people of God, and how things act in cycles. And we're seeing another cycle right now. You write this, Jonathan, that before anyone realized what was happening on 9/11, there was an ancient alarm that was sounding. What was that alarm?
Yeah, well, think about it, Gary. I know you know what is the alarm of the Bible? The alarm of the Bible is the shofar, the sound of the watchman, the sounding of the trumpet. What does it say? It's saying that the enemy is coming. There's an attack on the city coming, right? Well, on 9/11, the American intelligence had no idea it was coming, or didn't know that. The Pentagon didn't know. Nobody knew. But all around the Northeast, the ancient sound of the Bible of alarm was sounding throughout America where it was coming. And why? Because there was a day, there's a time appointed where the Jewish people are supposed to sound the shofar. Goes into early September, and it takes place in the morning. It is so all around New York City, the sound before the terrorists even came, the sound of the Bible that the enemy is coming like an eagle was sounding. But not only that, the sound of the shofar is timed to the sunrise. The sunrise comes, the dawn comes, and after there's a prayer, and then you sound the shofar. So think about this, Gary. Not only it was at the time when the terrorists are getting ready at dawn, the shofars are beginning to start sounding. But where does the dawn begin in America? It begins in Maine. So the terrorists were first in Maine, and literally as they pass through security, the dawn comes and the trumpets start sounding. Then the dawn or the sunrise comes to Boston. Then they come to Boston, and then the shofar starts sounding in Boston. Then it comes to New York. And before they get to New York, the shofars, the alarms are sounding. And then it gets to Washington. And again, the shofars are sounding. Not only that, but the time period when the shofars are appointed to sound was just when 9/11 was about to begin. And so as they're coming with their planes, the shofars are sounding. When they hit the building, the shofars are sounding. When they hit the Pentagon, the shofars are sounding. It starts around 6:30 in the morning. It's got to end by around 10:30. And when did 9/11 end? The last tower comes down, the North Tower comes down. It is just about 10:29, and then the shofars stop sounding.
Wow.
I mean, and the warning is, God is saying the sound of the shofar is the warning of a nation that is in danger of judgment that began then.
You've been writing about the United States as well as other countries, but you've been writing about the United States and how it has extended itself outside of God's covering. Progressively over the years, the United States has been making a concerted, I think, series of great spiritual errors. And you're watching all this. And as we're talking today, what do you see happening?
Well, this is all, Gary, part of the template. It wasn't just, there are people who are into prophecy. Sometimes it's into the signs. It wasn't just the signs. The signs of the Harbinger are part of a bigger picture. The warning, the template is that first, before judgment comes, the Lord allows a strike on the land to shake a wake-up call. But then you have this window of time where God gives the nation a chance to come back, and that's
Yes.
God's mercy before the greater shakings come. Well, the thing is, if you look at the pattern of ancient Israel, what did they do, Gary? They didn't come back to God. They went all the more away from God. Since 9/11, what has happened to America? We've been following the footsteps of the ancient mystery. It's not just the harbingers. The entire direction of America is following the footsteps, and it was all foreshadowed back then on 9/11 and with harbingers. But we have followed it, and now that takes us. It's going to take the next stage, a dangerous stage where we are now.
We're talking with Jonathan Cahn about his new book, The Harbinger 2. And Jonathan, we're going to pause for a moment and let people know how they can get their very own copy. Be right back.
Everyone loves a good mystery, and so many of these wonderful mysteries lie deeply embedded in the Hebrew Scriptures, just waiting to be revealed. Several years ago, Jonathan Cahn took the world by storm with his life-changing bestseller, The Harbinger, suggesting that America should start preparing for the judgment of God. Are we experiencing that judgment today through the COVID-19 virus? Jonathan saw the handwriting on the wall, so 8 years later, after writing The Harbinger, he knew it was time to write the sequel, picking up right where he left off. You've heard about just a few of these mysteries today, but there are many, many more revealed in his new book, an exclusive DVD collection, only being offered through a few select ministries. We'd love to send you Jonathan's new book, Harbinger 2, The Return, for your gift of $30 to the ministry, which includes shipping and handling anywhere in the U.S. In addition to the new book, Jonathan has produced a wonderful DVD set for our ministry, 8 DVDs in all, which covers far more ground than he's able to include in the book. Yes, even more mysteries. 63 chapters to be exact. This uncensored DVD collection allows Jonathan's passion and concern for America's future to shine through. We'd love to send you this valuable resource for your gift of $60 to the ministry. Once again, that includes shipping and handling in the U.S. And as we always do, we've created a special discounted package for you. The book and exclusive DVD set come with several special bonuses, a copy of The Paradigm, along with a companion audio CD and a live conference presentation that had people standing on their feet, anxious for the return of the King. You won't want to miss his words of wisdom and insights into the last days. You can receive this exclusive offer with these 3 special bonuses for your gift of $100, shipping included in the U.S. When you give to Prophecy Watchers, you not only receive these valuable resources, you're helping support and further our mission and purpose. We want to continue to spread the good news and the exciting things God has in store for our future. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Call us at the number on your screen or go online to prophecywatchers.tv to support this relevant and vital work. Remember, everything that we are doing at Prophecy Watchers is made possible with your support. So stand with us today.
We're talking with author and lecturer Jonathan Cahn. The book, The Harbinger 2, is unique. And while we have Jonathan with us, I'm going to be really asking him a lot of questions about mysteries, because that's the way he writes. That's the way he thinks. I don't think I've ever read an author who writes quite like Jonathan does. We've got about 30 seconds left here, Jonathan. What would you say to the potential viewer, the reader of your book?
Yeah, well, I hope that, I would say I believe you're going to be blown away. And also, I'll tell you, Gary, I prepared something I couldn't put everything in the book because it's about 3,000 pages. So I did this for just a few, which is The Harbinger Uncensored, which is 8 DVD albums, which have things which are nowhere else. And you're going to actually see the images, see the prophecies. You're going to see things that are, I'll just tell you, nowhere else. You will be blown away. So I believe you'll be blown away, but get ready. Get ready for the Lord.
I'm ready. Talking to Jonathan Cahn, I'm Gary Stearman. Hey, you keep watching. We are. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.